Hello dear viewers and welcome to RTD's English News Edition. The top stories. The opening of the national dialogue between the President of the Republic and the Djiboutian youth took place at the Corniche this morning. The UNHCR announces that 800,000 South Sudanese refugees are in Sudan campus. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The National Dialogue of Youth with the President of the Republic began this morning at the Corniche. These meetings, initiated by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margeli, in collaboration with the Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, brought together several hundred young people from all over the country. This event, the first of its kind in the country, has gone through several preparatory stages throughout the country, where the youth is harvesting its major concerns through the consultations that resulted in this meeting this morning. Upon his arrival at the Corniche, the President of the Republic was welcomed by the Prime Minister and Secretary of State for Youth and Sports, Mohamed Kamil. All the members of the government also attended this meeting of open dialogue between youth and its president. The head of state was warmly applauded at his entrance by the room packed with young people very enthusiastic to the idea of talking with their president. The ceremony began with the national anthem sung in choir by all the participants at this meeting, and this unprecedented debate between Djiboutian youth focused on five main themes, including equality and youth empowerment, social cohesion, the challenges of youth globalization, and the deontologization of politics, sports and culture. Before answering the first set of questions, the President made a brief statement, and this is in order to better identify and apprehend the needs and concerns of Djiboutian youth and in view during this dialogue to find answers. Let's listen to the head of state.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Je suis très heureux que nous soyons réunis ici aujourd'hui pour avoir un dialogue ouvert.
I'm very happy here to have an open and substantive dialogue on how young people can conduct positive exchange and can be leaders in their community. I wanted this dialogue for the young people of our republic, what it implies about their future, and gives more than ever the means to succeed. Youth is a stage in an individual. It's a difficult period of training, acquisition. It is also an exhilarating age where all become possible. For its future on time as individual, but as much as the aspect of its private life, also precious for the whole society that has seen these young people come to the world and for whom it nourishes so much with hope. Just as you were one day young, just as you carried out my ideas, I listened to this third for recognition, and I tried to affirm to me what is the time left for the young people. In the end, you spoke better of the victims of the vicissitude of time. The world yesterday is no longer the world today, let alone the world of tomorrow. In a globalized economy, it was important not to think for you anymore, but to think with you young people on topic that matters to you, but also on major national and societal issues for which you can have a valuable look and bring the big answers. I'm therefore aware of the importance and appetite you have in you for the many challenges facing your life and the challenges facing your country. I join our youth not to let this lead by a certain feeling of disenchantment and impotence in the extent of the stakes.
Several young people took the floor and asked their questions to the President. Questions ranging from housing, health and sanitation in different parts of the capital. Concerning the issue of housing, the head of state responded that they have made a tremendous effort to catch up on social housing, and we have in our program more than 2,600 apartments, he said, for newlyweds living with their parents in PK12. Half is already built and the other half is under construction, said the President. Then the youth raised the question of administration in the country. The President answered that this issue has been the responsibility of the Prime Minister for some time, and we have moved through the administrations and we have allowed each citizen to have access to the service of his choice. And I think we opened a lot of doors, he said, and we have required the director of departments concerned to open doors for young people. This important dialogue between the youth of the country and its president has continued, where the head of state answered the third question, saying that he thought that they had finished with a lot of septic flowing, like in Ariba, but this district suffered from an overpopulation, and it is this overpopulation which affects the sanitation of this district and destroys the sanitation equipment. And when asked on the issue of professional training for youth, President Anglais said that we must continue to intelligently train our young people. We need to better plan our training to better meet the future needs of the labor market. We will continue and increase investment in technical and vocational training to cover the growing demand for skilled labor in the technical fields.
Les débouchés sont serrés. Nous devons également faire dans la prospection et mieux planifier nos formations afin qu'elles correspondent mieux aux besoins futurs du marché du travail. Nous poursuivrons et accroîtrons l'investissement dans la formation technique.
And to close the series of questions, President Anglais has talked about the empowerment of women and the persons with disabilities, as well as the question of employability of job seekers is central to us. It is no longer a question of training for a single job, but flexibilizing and adapting trainings to the world market. Continuing with the national news, in accordance with the plan today, the Minister of the Interior has today delivered the final receipt to the various parties or grouping of political parties to submit their candidates to the next parliamentary elections of 23rd February 2018. For this purpose, the representative of the political parties or grouping of the parties submitted to the Minister of the Interior the receipts of treasuries attesting the payment of the participation rights of the candidates of the respective list. In the first place, the President of the UMP handed over the receipts from the electoral constituents of Djibouti City and the regions of Abak, Tijora, Dikhil and Elisabih and Arta. Then Mrs. Ilaya Ismail Gedi handed UDG PDD her receipt for her candidates, the constituency of Djibouti City. The RTD party has for its part handed over the electoral receipt of the electoral district of Tijora, and finally the turn of the CDU to present its receipt to the electoral district of Elisabih. In following this procedure, the Minister of the Interior, Mr. Hassan Mohammed Umar, issued the receipts defined to the officials and representative of the political parties in contention in the election of February 23rd. The minister thus handed over to the president of UNP, Mr. Abdul Qadir Mohammed, the receipts of the lists of constancy of the Djibouti Syrian regions of Waqt Al Sabir, Tijor and Dakhil. The regrouping of the parties UDT and PDT, the list in the electoral district of Djibouti City, the RD party received the constancy of Tijor as well. And speaking for this occasion, the Minister of the Interior, Mr. Hassan Omar, asked all the political parties to conduct good behavior before taking stock of these lists in these parliamentary elections of February 23rd. On the regional news, the United Nations has declared that the number of South Sudanese refugees living in Sudan has now reached the number of 800,000. Noriko Yoshida, representative for United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees UNHCR in Sudan, told a refugee forum that other sources say the number was even higher. This makes Sudan the country with the second largest number of South Sudanese refugees in the region, he added. South Sudanese Vice President Hassabo Mohamed Abdul Rahman reiterated Sudan's commitment to welcome refugees and providing them with what they need. He urged the UN and donors to change some of the fund allocation practices for refugees and host communities. Sudan has nearly 2 million refugees from Ethiopia, Eritrea, Chad, Somalia, the Central African Republic, South Sudan, Yemen, and Syria. Where it is with these images we end this edition. Thank you and have a good night.